Welcome everybody, welcome back to Fly Past. We are in the Huey, we're flying over Belgium, and this is an area that's got some photogrammic imagery. I think we may be getting to the edge of it. We are on our way down to, this is Braine-le-Comte. We're on our way, we're just checking the area to the south. Southwest of Brussels, in this area here. So this is Braine-le-Comte. You can see that's in the middle there, and Soignes. All these names will get we'll get used to when we start talking about the campaign properly. But the area is important for the Waterloo campaign, because this is where Wellington stations a lot of his troops. And so when we get into the campaign, these are the places that the troops have to start from to get to stuff like the Quatre Bras. So we've been talking about Wellington, we're talking about the kind of guy he is, the kind of leader he is, his experiences. He's got to Belgium, he arrives in April 1815, takes over from the army's command from the Prince of Orange. And he goes into his normal mode. He starts tackling the problems that he sees. So the first thing is he needs to increase the size of the army. He also needs, he wants to increase the quality of the army. He immediately requests troops from Castlereagh in Great Britain. He needs his peninsular troops back from North America. They're out there in Canada, and a lot of them he come back. He wants them to be sent immediately to him in Belgium. The cavalry on his way. Remember, I mentioned Captain Mercer, Cavalier Mercer. He was part of the Royal Horse Artillery. They're sent out, coming from coming to Ostend, and then straight to this area. Back in Great Britain, as I say, the give the British government the fair dues. They would basically do anything to help Wellington. Any request, stopping short of calling out the militia, because they couldn't. Under law, they couldn't send the militia overseas. Other things. There's the Prince of Orange. He's been arresting French troops who have been trying to. They were French prisoners who are still making their way back. He was arresting them because they were trying to get back into France. Wellington immediately also stops. I think it was a King's German Legion at the time. They were actually on their way home to disband, so he stops all that. Gamer vibes, good to see you. Yes, the scenery does look good, though I think we've probably come out of the photogrammic imagery area. And I'm hoping to get to, I think we're off course here. Let's head over this way. We might be down on the River Sambre here. Let's just follow the river this way. We might come to Mons. There is somewhere between Brussels and here the line of the photogrammic imagery. So how does Wellington organise his army? Well, he does it by, very interestingly, he tries to sort of incorporate weak elements with strong elements, so that he'll always have a veteran unit with a unit which he believed wasn't so strong. He knew politically that he had to incorporate the Prince of Orange somehow into his command structure, but he wanted to do it in a way where the Prince of Orange was surrounded by men that Wellington could trust anyway, to give him some good advice. He actually does at this point organize his army into sort of 3 corps. Now I know we talk about how he didn't like doing that because he wanted to maintain control, but he does it on this occasion, and it's probably because it's on paper really rather than actually in real life. He has to do this sort of because he needs, it's for political reasons basically. He has to give the Prince of Orange a command. He gives it he splits his army into 3 corps, and he gives the Prince of Orange the first corps. But he surrounds the Prince of Orange, who's only 22 by the way, so he's quite a young guy, quite precocious, quite sort of cocky, but he surrounds this guy with divisional commanders who are experienced. And he hoped as well that the divisional commanders would basically be he hoped that they would be politically astute enough to sort of not show up the Prince of Orange, but almost operate in an independent way. The second corps he gives to Lord Hill, and he himself takes control of the third corps. So that's how it's organized. But you can see the third corps, by the way, is also almost like his reserve. And we'll have a look at that. So mainly the third corps is around Brussels, and then the first corps is down to the south, and then the second corps is out towards southwest. A series of lakes here. We should see them around here. What I'm trying to do is find Mons, but so when Wellington takes charge around about beginning of April, the force in Belgium at that time was 40,000, and he increases his troop numbers to 60,000. And he begins to drill his troops and organize them, increases morale, things like that. And the troops' morale was improved quite quickly. Stories of his achievements obviously passed through the ranks from the Peninsula people, but the ranks can also see quite quickly that as soon as the Duke arrives, things like the distribution of pay is regular. The distribution of food and drink is organised. He then, once he's got his numbers up, he then starts doing things like improving the defences, fortifications. He improves the fortifications of Newport and Ostend and Antwerp, has them garrisons, and that's to control his supply route, make sure that's secured. He then concentrates on instigating some work around Ypres, Menin, Tournai, Courtrai, and Mons in a certain ring. So let's quickly bung up the map again, and we can see where that is. So we're talking, he's got a ring of forts with Tournai there. He's got Mons. So he's got this ring around this sort of southwest on the Belgian border. So this is Mons here. So this is the route that I believe that Wellington expected Napoleon to come from, and why he says he's humbugged by Napoleon. So did I say Wellington? I meant Napoleon. Need to call me out here, dudes. He also tried to set about doing things like fortifications, earthworks around Brussels itself and Ghent. We get to the point of the breakout of hostilities, and we could estimate that the army of Napoleon, of Wellington, is approximately about 92,000 troops. So, what have we got then? Let's have a look at, just run some numbers through for you. It's hard to say how many there were, but we're talking probably around about. This is from a guy called Cyborn. Now, I will go and get the book in a moment. He did a book. He was the guy who did the research into the battle afterwards. He was he's the guy who made a model of the Battle of Waterloo, and it fell out with Wellington. But he was very meticulous in his numbers, and this is from his book. He believed that Wellington's army was around about 106,000 men, and had 206 pieces of artillery. He said that there was 23,543 to be exact, British troops. There was 3,301 King's German Legion soldiers, 22,788 Hanoverians, 5,376 Brunswickers, 2,880 Nassau, and 24,174 Dutch and Belgian troops. And I think that meant that his infantry component was totaled around about 82,000 men. Cavalry-wise, we're talking 5,913 British, 2,560 King's German Legion, 1,682 Hanoverians. Brunswicks, there was 922 of them, and 3,405 Dutch Belgium. And in the artillery, there was 5,030 artillery men, with 102 guns in the British Army. There was 526 men and 18 guns in the King's German Legion. There was 465 Hanoverians. They had 12 guns. Brunswick had 16 guns with 510 men, and the Dutch Belgians had 56 guns, and they were manned by 1,635. On top of that, and this is where sometimes the figures probably get a little bit different, were some engineers, sappers, miners, wagon trains, and staff, and that there's probably about 1,240 of them in total. And as I say, this is then divided into three corps. The first corps is under the Prince of Orange, and he has three. So he has a number of divisions put into his corps, who are some of the most experienced men. We got the first division was under Cook, and so if you're thinking of, what was the 1st Division? Well, we're talking about the 2nd Battalion of the 1st Guards, 3rd Battalion. This is under Maitland. He has also got the 2nd Battalion of the 2nd Guards, 2nd Battalion of the 3rd Guards. This is under Byng. They were the kind of troops that were given at the time in the 1st Division. He also had the 3rd Division under Alton, and we're talking people like Hackett and Collin were there. They had some Hanoverians involved, and King's German Legions, and then there was the 2nd Belgian Division under Pepontia, and we had then the 3rd Dutch Belgian Division under Chassé. So you could argue then there was probably 2 very good British divisions in there, with top quality guardsmen, and then you've got a couple of the Dutch Belgium divisions alongside them. In the 2nd Corps under Lord Hill, you had the 2nd Division with Clinton, and that had the 52nd Regiment. You've got the King's German Legion involved in that one. The 4th Division under Colville, and they were the 14th, 23rd, 51st. And 2nd Battalion, 35th, 54th Regiment, 59th, 91st under Johnston, and a couple of Hanoverian battalions. And the 1st Dutch Belgium Division was under Stedman, and they mainly had some militia elements, and you could argue they were considered the weakest. So that's the 2nd Corps. There was a cavalry corps. This was commanded by Uxbridge. Uxbridge was technically Wellington's 2nd in command. And so you had Life Guards, Royal Horse Guards, Dragoon Guards. They were under Somerset. Ponsonby commanded Royal Dragoons. There was Dornberg's Light Dragoons. And then there was a number of Royal Horse Artillery combined with that. And the reserve itself was, I suppose, the cream of the crop for Wellington. He had the 5th Division, who were under Picton. And there you get elements of the 95th Rifles, 92nd Highlanders under Pack. You have the 6th Division, which are commanded by Cole. And you have artillery, British Reserve Artillery. These are elements of the Royal Horse Artillery. And some Brunswick Corps as well. So that is the look at the British Army stationed here. We'll head now back towards Brussels from Mons, and you'll find this is the area where this British Army, especially the 2nd Corps under Lord Hill, is cantonment in this area. They're stationed basically in with villagers. Horses are using the fields for forage. And when we come back, we will start looking at the French army. We could do French, or should we do Prussians? I think we should do the Prussians first, and then maybe do the French last. And that means that the French army will be fresh in our minds when we start the actual campaign itself. So thank you for watching, and this is the probably end of the episode 33. We will do the French army in the next stream. So if you're watching on Twitch, in the next part we'll continue flying along the Seine. If you're watching on YouTube, the next part, which we will be flying along the Seine, will be in the Rivers playlist if you're interested in that. Otherwise, I will see you all in the next live stream, which will probably be tomorrow, and we will be looking at the Prussian army. So please like, subscribe, and do all that good stuff. I see we're trying to get towards about 80 followers at the moment. So if you have been watching, please on Twitch, please give a follow. If you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, because we're only a small channel, and I've got a very I'm very sensitive, basically, to being liked. Although I will do this myself, to be honest, because I enjoy it, but don't tell anyone else. I've waffled. I'll see you then in the next video. Goodbye.